Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down big ideas by exploring the stories that define them. Today, we're diving into a massive corporate failure that, believe it or not, turned into an incredible masterclass in leadership. Let's just start with a number. $1 billion. That's the estimated financial hit from a single corporate crisis that went down in just a matter of days. It's a staggering amount of money for sure, but it doesn't even begin to tell the real story. Because behind that billion-dollar price tag, there's a much, much higher human cost. We're talking thousands of people left stranded during the holidays, families separated, and a deep, painful shattering of trust with a brand that people really loved, right when it mattered most. Okay, so let's get into it. Part 1, a holiday meltdown. We're talking about the absolute operational breakdown at Southwest Airlines back in December 2022. This wasn't just a business problem. It was a crisis that revealed the true character of a company. Now, a winter storm was the spark, yeah, but the real fire was burning inside the company. Their cruise scheduling system was so old, so outdated, it just buckled. It completely collapsed under the pressure. The result? An absolute logistical nightmare and a public relations disaster of epic proportions. All right, part 2. Leadership takes full responsibility. And this is where the story pivots. See, it's not really about the failure itself. It's about the response. It's about the incredible power of just owning it. Instead of making excuses or pointing fingers, Southwest CEO Bob Jordan stepped up immediately and took full public ownership. And then he gave the entire company one single crystal-clear mission that cut right through all the chaos. How do we get our passengers home? That's it. So this 3-step plan, it wasn't some slick PR strategy they cooked up. No, this was an all-hands-on-deck operational focus. Every single decision, from the C-suite all the way down to the baggage claim, was guided by this simple, powerful mission. Now for part 3, the downward blame spiral. The reason the Southwest story is so remarkable is because it's so incredibly rare. The much more common reaction, you see, is something way more destructive. We're talking about the downward blame spiral, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a total failure of leadership. Instead of fixing a broken strategy, the executives at the top deflect, and they point the finger down at the very people on the front lines who are trying their best to make a broken plan work. I mean, the contrast here is just night and day. On one side, you've got the Southwest CEO taking full ownership, and on the other, you've got the classic example, Blockbuster. Their executives blamed poor performance in the stores, while they completely ignored the giant strategic meteor named Netflix that was hurtling right at them. And this pattern just repeats itself over and over again. You see it with Toys R Us, who blamed store managers for losing to Amazon, while leadership refused to invest in their own website. Or Sears, where the CEO blamed employees for not fighting hard enough after his own strategy pitted them against each other. And BlackBerry, where executives blamed engineers for not being innovative after they're the ones who shut down touchscreen development for years. It's always a failure that starts at the top. Okay, part 4, culture in a crisis. This brings us to the core question, right? Why? Why did Southwest choose accountability when so many other huge companies default to blame? Well, the answer wasn't a clever PR move they dreamed up in the middle of the crisis. Not at all. It was the result of a culture that was intentionally built, brick by brick, over decades, all based on a really powerful yet incredibly simple idea. It's the principle of the leader as servant. It's this idea that a leader's main job isn't to be served, but to serve their people, to remove the obstacles so their teams can do their best work. And Southwest's legendary founder, Herb Kelleher, he didn't just preach this stuff, he lived it. I mean, get this. Kelleher famously spent one day every single month working a frontline job. One month, he'd be loading baggage in the sweltering Texas heat. The next, he'd be serving peanuts on a flight, or even cleaning planes on the overnight shift. And look, this wasn't some publicity stunt. This was his management system. It's how he built a culture of genuine trust and respect. He didn't need some report on his desk to tell him what was broken. He could just ask the person working right next to him. And you can see that servant leader DNA in every single thing that happened during that 2022 meltdown. Pilots volunteered for extra shifts. Gate agents stayed hours late, manually rebooking entire families. You even had executives personally getting on the phone with customers to apologize and help. The focus was never on protecting their own department. It was hardwired into them to serve the passenger, period. And that brings us to our final section, what your mirror reflects. This is where we turn the lesson from this incredible story inward onto ourselves. It's a concept called the leadership mirror, and the idea is really powerful. A crisis doesn't build a leader's character or a company's culture, it reveals it. It acts like a mirror, showing you exactly what was there all along. Because, leadership isn't about the title you hold or the stage you command when everything's going great. It's about the legacy you create when things get tough. And that legacy is just a reflection of the values you practiced or neglected day in and day out. So this is the question the leadership mirror asks all of us. When a crisis hits your organization, your team, your family, who does your culture blame? Does the finger automatically point downward towards the people on the front lines? Or does it reflect a culture of ownership, a culture where everyone, from the top down, instinctively rallies together to serve those in need and to solve the problem? Because ultimately, that's the choice. And the story your mirror tells in that moment, well, that's the story that will define your leadership, your organization, and the legacy you leave behind.